Me for another video this afternoon. So I thought I would talk about something that I think would be very interesting. So, obviously, as you know, obviously over the summer, I sent a large number of death threats to the inghams, which is something that I wasn't proud of. Now, around that time, they also claimed to have allegedly had someone send them threats threatening to rape the girls. I think it was Esme and Isabel. Now, obviously at the time, people were putting two and two together and coming up with four. They were kind of connecting me to these threats that had been made towards the girls because obviously I'd sent these death threats to the inghams, so people were thinking, he sent the death threats to Chris and Sarah, he must have been sending the threats, the threats threatening to rape the girls. Now, obviously, the one thing to bear in mind is that there's not really much evidence that really kind of proves the existence of these threats that were made towards the girls. The only evidence we really have is, Chris and Sarah, it's hearsay really for Chris and Sarah. Obviously they've said, they claim to have had these threats from someone threatening to rape the girls. But they've never actually shown any kind of visual evidence that would kind of prove the existence of these emails and would prove that they weren't lying about the existence of these emails. Obviously they were able to prove the existence of these death threats, obviously they had that visual evidence. But they've never actually shown any visual evidence that would prove the existence of these threats that were made by someone to rape the girls. Now, to be honest, I don't know what to think about that because I find it very hard to believe that someone would go that far, and would want to send threats like that, threatening to harm the girls for whatever reason. And to be honest, I was a little bit offended by the fact that people thought it was me, especially, considering there was no, proof or evidence that kind of links me to, these threats that were made towards the girls. It was like, all people were doing, like people were just assuming that because I'd sent the threats to Chris and Sarah, I must have also sent these threats threatening to rape the girls. Now, of course, it's understandable as to why people would have been trying to connect those dots and thinking that, I must have had some connection to it, but I can assure you I don't. And this is one of those instances where I actually have the upper hand because there's no proof or evidence that backs up me being connected to these threats towards the girls. There's no proof that I sent. They have not even actually shown any proof that these emails do actually exist. Of course, but then again, you think about it and you think, well, why would they lie something? Why would they make up something that bad? Why would they want to lie about receiving such sinister threats? For someone, threatening to rape a girl, that would be, that would be a very serious thing to lie about. And I don't think they can blame people for having doubts about the existence of these emails threatening to rape the girls because they've never shown them. Obviously they showed the threats that were sent by me, but they've not shown the threats that were supposedly sent by this person threatening to rape the girls. And I'm thinking, well, why have they shown the threats that were sent from me, but not shown the threats that were sent by someone claiming to rape the girls? But surely they would want to show that these emails do actually exist, so that people can't say, well, they don't exist, or people can't say they've made it up. But this is the problem. It's very easy for people to say that they made up the whole thing about receiving threats from somebody threatening to rape the girls because they've never shown any visual proof of that. that's one thing that I've never been investigated for, that I haven't actually been investigated for. Yeah, I had to go for a police interview in relation to the threats made towards the inghams, but they never questioned me in relation to threats made towards the girls. Which, I mean, this is another thing, right? If people really thought it was me that sent these threats threatening to rape the girls, why did they not go to the police? Why did they not report me to the police and tell the police that I had been sending threats towards the girls? Because that would have been taken very seriously, the fact that I've been saying, if I had been sending threats to the kids, I probably wouldn't be sat here now. It's like, why did again? And I think we all know why people didn't go to the police, because they knew they had no evidence. Because people knew they had no evidence and no hard, solid proof that connected me to these threats that were sent towards the girls. They knew that nothing they had would stick. They knew they couldn't just go to the police and say, well, we think it was him, just because of the fact that I sent threats to threats to Chris and Sarah. And I mean, yeah, fair enough. People think that I've sent death threats to Chris and Sarah, I must be capable of sending threats threatening to rape the girls. It was actually I was actually very massively offended by the fact that people thought it was me, because I knew it wasn't, and I knew that I was telling the truth. I knew that I had nothing to do with that. Obviously I admitted to sending the threats, not because I had to, but because I wanted to admit to it, and I knew that it would be the right thing to do. But I was never going to admit to sending the threats to rape the girls, because I had nothing to do with that. It's like, why would I admit to something that I know I had nothing to do with? Why would I admit to something that I'm not guilty of? Why would I admit to doing something I did not do? I'm not gonna, this is the thing. Obviously, the reason and I even did videos about it at the time. I even actually confirmed in a video that it was not me that sent the threats. I know that some people probably wouldn't believe me and would probably think I was just saying that to try and clear my name and claim innocence. I mean, yeah, I wanted to clear my name, because I wasn't going to have people accusing me of something like that. I wasn't going to have people accusing me or trying to link me to something that I had nothing to do with in the first place. I wasn't going to have people claiming that I'd sent threats threatening to rape the girls. I wanted to give my side of the story and confirm that I had not done that, which I did. I had nothing to do with any threats that were made towards the girls. The only thing that I had anything to do with were threats that were significant threats that were made towards Chris and Sarah. I will say this time and time again. I did not have anything. I did not have a single thing or any single part to play in any threats that were made towards the girls. If they actually had threats made towards the girls, because as I said, we don't know for definite that they did. Because they've never actually shown visual evidence that proves that they have had emails of that nature. Yeah, they've shown visual proof that they've had death threats from me, but they've never actually shown visual evidence that proves they actually had emails from someone threatening to rape the girls. You would think that you would think that they would want to show that those emails do exist. But they've never shown visual proof of that. The only real evidence that anyone has is what Chris and Sarah have said. It's basically hearsay, really. That's all the evidence, that's the only evidence there is. Did they actually, I mean, as I said, I find it hard to believe that someone would genuinely want to send threats to them threatening to harm the girls. I don't understand why anybody would want to do that or would think it was necessary to do that. And I want to believe that Chris and Sarah were telling the truth about someone threatening to rape the girls, but I don't. It's like, how can I believe something when there's hardly any evidence to actually back that up? But this is the thing. there is hardly any evidence that proves the existence of these emails, of someone threatening to rape the girls. They've never shown visual proof of that. All we have is hearsay from them. They obviously they claim to have allegedly had these threats sent to them. This is what I was thinking about the other day. It's like the other week when I was thinking about it, I was thinking, well, if people actually thought it was me, why didn't they go to the police? And the reason they didn't go to the police and report me and tell them that I had something to do with these threats towards the girls is because they knew they had no evidence. Because this is the thing. There is zero evidence, zero proof linking me to threats made towards the girls. Chris and Sarah don't even have any proof that it was me that sent. Yeah, they have proof that I was the one that sent the death threats, but they don't have any proof that it was me. That actually sent the threats threatening to rape the girls. Obviously, people are gonna make that connection and think that it was me. But no, I had nothing to do with that. And it still shocks me to think that people think I did have something to do with that. Especially when you think about the fact that there was no actual evidence there to prove that it was me. This is the thing. People should have realised that there was no evidence to link me to these threats made towards the girls. Or the only evidence that people were looking at was the fact that I had sent threats to threats to Chris and Sarah. So obviously people were automatically assuming that I must have been capable of sending threats threatening to rape the girls. The other thing you've also got to look at is why would I threaten to rape the girls when I'm always doing videos on YouTube talking about the way that these kids are being treated by the parents, and the way they're being exploited. It's like, why would I threaten to rape kids that I'm trying to protect? Answer me that question. It's like, what evidence do people have that I'm the one that sent those threats threatening to rape the girls? As I said, there is no evidence and no proof whatsoever that actually links me to those threats. Even Chris and Sarah know that they couldn't actually report me for sending those threats because they had no evidence of sending those threats threatening to rape the girls. Because they knew that if they have full evidence to actually link me to that, they had no way of actually linking me to being the person that actually sent those threats. It's just ridiculous. It's just crazy to think about. The fact. Obviously, I say. The reason I say they allegedly had threats is because they've never shown any proof of the existence of these emails threatening to rape the girls. At least if they showed proof of that, maybe people would believe it a lot more than what they currently do. But I can't blame people for not believing that when they've never actually shown any visual proof that actually confirms the existence of these emails. At least if they had shown visual proof of that, people might actually believe things a lot more than they currently do. But why would people believe something is true when they've never actually shown any visual evidence any sort of visual evidence that these emails threatening to rape the girls actually do exist? At least that's what they've shown the threats sent by me, but they've never shown the threats that were made threatening to rape the girls. Funny that, very funny. It's also slightly suspicious that they've shown threats sent by me, but never shown threats sent by someone threatening to rape the girls. I find that very suspicious indeed. It's just so hard to believe that these emails genuinely exist because they've never actually shown any evidence that they do exist or not any visual proof. They've never actually shown any proof of these emails. They've not shown screenshots of the emails or anything like that. Yeah, they've shown screenshots of the emails sent by me, but they've not shown screenshots of the emails sent by someone threatening to rape the girls. Does that not raise a few red flags there? Does that not ring some alarm bells there? The fact that they've never actually shown visual proof of the existence of these emails threatening to rape the girls. As that raises a few red flags to me, and it started winning a few alarm bells. You know, that's one of the biggest red flags in this situation. It's the fact that they've never shown any visual evidence that proves the existence of these emails from someone threatening to rape the girl that was sent by someone threatening to rape the girls. You would think that they would want to show proof of that so that people wouldn't say they were lying. But yeah, they've made it very easy for people to say that they were lying about that because they've never shown any visual proof of the existence of these emails. You know, it's hilarious to think about. But yeah, I wanted to do this short little video thinking about this, talking about this, and I'll see you for another one soon. Bye bye.